Paradox Rift is closer than you think, and we have to talk about some of the cool cards and decks that we can build with this set. Hey, Nick from 9Card TCG, and today we're going to be looking at two different Roaring Moon decks. Now, Roaring Moon's a really cool card, but I don't think it can be the central theme of a deck. I think it's something that you throw into an existing deck and try to make it work, or use it as like your ace, your trump card, that thing that's going to get you the win. So that's kind of how I'm going to use it. Like I said, we're going to look at two different deck lists. If you're not familiar, Paradox Rift comes out, I think, on November 3rd. I have the date on the screen. So we're just gonna get into it. But before we do, if you haven't already, do me a favor, like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff tells YouTube this is a good channel. Other people should watch it. I have a personal goal of getting to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and if we do, I have a really cool giveaway that we're going to do, so I'm super excited for that. And with all that, we're just going to get straight into the deck profiles. Before we talk about it, I really should have specified that these are very early builds. We don't know all the cards coming in Paradox Rift. This is just an idea that I had. I have no idea if it works. We're going to be testing this and a few other deck ideas I have on the channel very soon. So if you're interested in seeing how it actually performs and you don't want to test it yourself, just, make sure you subscribe. But with that said, this first list is kind of like a turbo build. We have a 2-2 Darkrai V and VSTAR. We don't really care about the V. The V is just a means to evolve to the VSTAR. What does the VSTAR do? It has the attack Dark Pulse for 2 colorless energies. Doesn't really matter because we only have dark energies in this, but it does 30 damage plus 30 more for each dark energy attached to all of our Pokemon. And we have the ability Star Abyss, that's our VSTAR power. We can only use it once per game. However, we can get 2 item cards from our discard and put them back into our hand, and that's pretty powerful. So the idea is we really want to burst energies into play. We want to get as many energies into play as we can, so Darkrai's Dark Pulse attack does more damage. And we have a few ways of doing that. First is Galarian Moltres V, Dire Flame Wings. Once during your turn, take a dark energy from your discard and attach it to this Pokemon. You can't use more than one Dire Flame Wings ability each turn, which is a little unfortunate. But then we also have Galarian Moltres, the single prize, in Malevolent Charge. When you play this card from your hand to the bench, you can take 2 dark energies from your hand and attach it to this Pokemon. So, already, we use Moltres V's ability to put 1 energy in play. Then we use Galarian Moltres to attach 2 to it. Then we can go ahead and attach for turn. And we have these dark patches, which let us take a basic dark energy from our discard and attach them to one of our benched dark Pokemon. So as you can see, all the Pokemon in here, with a few exceptions, all of our attacking Pokemon, I should say, are dark types. So we can get a lot of energy into play very, very quickly. We also have a new tool card that's going to get some energies into play, and that is the Technical Machine Turbo Energize. For a single colorless energy, search a deck for up to 2 basic energies and attach them to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. That means we can go ahead, let's say we start a Moltres, we start a Ralts, it's our first turn. Going second, we have a Ralts in the active, and we're like, what are we going to do with this? We can go ahead and attach an energy to it. Now we can go ahead and attach this TM to the Ralts and use Turbo Energize to get a couple of energies on a Darkrai V, on a Moltres V, something like that. So now they're basically powered up and ready to go for the following turn. So now between Moltres V, Galarian Moltres, Turbo Energize, Dark Patch, we have a lot of ways to get energies into play very, very quickly. We can go ahead and search for Turbo Energize with Arven. Arven's a supporter that lets you search for a tool and an item card. So what we do is we can go ahead and use Arven to search for the tool, Turbo Energize, and an item, Earthen Vessel. Then we discard a card from our hand, get 2 basic energies. Now, one of those energies gets attached to the active, and the other can either be discarded with something like Ultra Ball, or Radiant Greninja, which has the ability to conceal cards, discard a basic or any energy card from your hand, and then we can draw 2 cards. So now we get this energy into the discard, so it can be used with Dark Patch, it can be used for Galarian Moltres V's ability, and you can kind of see how this is going to go. But what happens if we have a bunch of energies on, say, like Galarian Moltres or Galarian Moltres V, and we need to put it onto another Pokemon? Well, we have Energy Switch. Move a basic energy from one of our Pokemon to another one of our Pokemon. So this works really well. We have Darkrai V. has no energy on it, but we need to power this thing up. So we can attach for turn. Then we can go ahead and use Moltres V's ability to get an energy out of the discard and attach it to it. Now we play Energy Switch and move the energy from the Moltres V to the Darkrai V, and now we're attacking. So we can also do that with Roaring Moon. Roaring Moon is, the way I picture this is, we have Calamity Storm, 2 dark and a colorless, does 100 damage, and we can discard a Stadium in play. If we do, it does 120 more. Hitting for 220 is pretty good. But really, and speaking of Stadiums, we have 2 Pokestops. We'll talk about those in a minute. But really, the attack we want to use is Frenzied Gouging. So we just knock out our opponent's active, and I kind of envision this being the last 2 prizes we take, because if we use this attack, we take 200 damage to ourselves. So we don't really want to just leave this in the active, let it take damage, and then we use Frenzied Gouging and this also gets knocked out, or use Frenzied Gouging too early where we get like a prize or 2, and then our opponent just comes back and takes 2 prizes on us. Iron Hands is going to be very happy to see us use Frenzied Gouging, because they're going to go ahead and knock this out with Extreme Amplifier and get 3 prizes off of Roaring Moon EX. It's just, we have to be very, very careful about when we actually use this attack. So we can go ahead and slap down something like a Roaring Moon. Now we can attach for turn. We can go ahead, Galarian Moltres, Energy Switch. We can go ahead and play several. We have 4 copies of Dark Patch, plus we got 2 more copies of Dark Patch if we use Darkrai V's VSTAR power to get 2 Dark Patches out of the discard. We also have Turbo Energize, which we would have to use the turn before. And we also have Raihan. Raihan is a great card for a deck like this, because that lets us attach an energy card from our discard to one of our Pokemon in play, and then search our deck for any card we want. Which means we can go ahead and attach the Darkrai, and then Raihan to it. Now it has 2 energies on it, so we can attack, and then we can go and search the deck for any card we want, something like a Dark Patch, or if we have like Earthen Vessel. Let's say we have no energies in the discard, but we have a pair of Dark Patches. We can go ahead and play the Earthen Vessel to search our deck for 2 cards, and then discard them again, like Ultra Ball, Radiant Greninja, something like that. We also have the Curlia as our draw engine. Discard a card from our hand, draw 2 cards. So now we can, again, find a lot of ways to get those energies into the discard, so we can accelerate them with Dark Patch, Moltres, and Raihan. We also, of course, have a couple copies of Boss's Orders. We have Professor's Research, discard your hand, draw 7. Again, if we have a handful of energies, we don't really care about discarding them too much. And then we have some Iono, just because Disruption is always good, and it's great for the very beginning of the game. We don't really want to discard all of the cards we have in our hand with Professor's Research, so we play Iono, shuffle them, put them to the bottom, and draw cards equal to the number of prizes you have remaining. Both you and your opponent do this. Manaphy to protect our bench, since we do have a couple of these Curlias on the bench. Radiant Greninja could be a huge problem, so we want to make sure that we protect our bench Pokemon from things like Radiant Greninja, Rapid Strike Urshifu, whatever, so Manaphy is there for that. Lumineon is a great way to find something like an Arven, a boss of Raihan, if we can't, if we need to. So you play Manaphy from your hand to your bench, search your deck for a supporter, put it into your hand. Pokestop is another very good card. You can see we have a lot of items in the deck, so we go ahead, use the Pokestop, discard the top 3 cards of our deck, but you keep any items you find there. So if we discard a few energies, that's not really a big deal as long as we pick up a few items. This is a great way to help us find something like Battle VIP Pass in the very beginning of the game, which, again, turn 1, we go Arven, search our deck for a Turbo Energize and a Battle VIP Pass, instead of searching like Dark Patch or Earthen Vessel, whatever. And then we can play the Battle VIP Pass, and now we get to search a deck for 2 basic Pokemon, put them directly onto our bench. That lets us get Darkrai, that lets us get a couple of Ralts or Greninja, whatever it is we need. That's pretty much the whole deck. It's just really try to stack as much damage as you can with Darkrai by putting a bunch of energies into play, and then take your last 2 KOs with something like Roaring Moon. Since your damage is technically not really capped, you can do as much damage as you can get energies in play. So if you want to put even more energies in here, you could, but as you start to do that, you start to sacrifice consistency. So we use something like Darkrai, attack. We get something like the Baby Galarian Moltres in here, because this also has a very good attack, does 20 damage, plus 50 more for each prize card our opponent has taken. So our opponent takes, 4 prizes, they go down to 2. We can go ahead, slap this Moltres in here. They took 4 prizes, now we're hitting 220. We can also Iono, we can play Iono, get them down to 2 cards in hand, then, Baby Moltres Fiery Wrath, hitting for 220. After we stacked on some damage with the Darkrai, or if we're hitting into a V or a single, like a basic EX or something, we're probably going to be in range to do enough damage. And then we can go ahead and clean up a KO with something like Galarian Moltres. And we also, of course, have Frenzy Gouging on Roaring Moon. So a lot of ways that we can take some KOs, and you can kind of shift, 2 prizes, 1 prize, 2 prize. That's 5, or you can go 2, 2, 1, and then give, force your opponent to take a 7 prize game, or force them to have boss's order, something like that. So there's a lot of things we can do. This is deck number 1. Deck number 2 is basically just Lost Zone Giratina, but with the Roaring Moon. And the way I kind of envision this going is we use the Giratina VSTAR, Lost Impact, we use Star Requiem to just knock out whatever's in the active. Then we hit for 280 to presumably take another 2 prizes, and then Roaring Moon's Frenzy Gouging to once again just take a knockout. We just instantly knock something out. So then we have 2 attacks that just let us instantly knock something out. So we can go ahead, Star Requiem, just take 2, 3 prizes. Frenzy Gouging, just take 2, 3 prizes, and you can do it vice versa. While you're trying to build to 10 in the Lost Zone to get a Star Requiem going, you can go ahead and use Frenzy Gouging. Your opponents might take 2 prizes in the process, 3, 4 prizes after a Roaring Moon, maybe a Comfy or a Cramorant, something like that. But you're really just building to 10 in the Lost Zone. So then we just go ahead, okay, Frenzy Gouging, KO, you counter KO, no problem. I come in with a Cramorant, or I come in with something to buy me time, or then I just come in with Giratina, Star Requiem, boom, there's game. Or Lost Impact, I would probably still go Star Requiem, then Lost Impact, because Lost Impact requires you to Lost Zone 2 energies. Again, maybe if you need the help getting to 10 in the Lost Zone, Lost Impact might be better using it first. But if you got 10, Star Requiem, just take the instant KO and then come back and hit really hard with Lost Impact to counter KO. Unless, it's always going to depend on the board state. Obviously, if you only have 1 Giratina, I would probably just Lost Impact and get the KO. If you have 2, and one has 2 energies and one has 3, but the one that has 3 is going to get KO'd, well, then you should probably Lost Impact, get the 2 energies off of it, and save your Star Requiem for the next turn. Something like that. There's always something. But even if we don't get the KO, we still have the Sableye. Lost Mind's an incredible attack. You could only use it if you have 10 in the Lost Zone, but you place up to 12 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you want. Incredibly good. Cramorant lets us attack for free, and we can power up this Roaring Moon and even our Giratina very, very easily thanks to Mirage Gate wherever it is. So Mirage Gate, we can play it if we have 7 or more in the Lost Zone, such a deck for 2 basic energies of different types, and attach them to our Pokemon in any way we want. So we can go ahead and attach like a Dark and a Grass, a Dark and a Psychic to Roaring Moon or Giratina, and then attach that final energy that we need for turn to get the attack. So we use the Mirage Gate on the Roaring Moon, we get like a Dark Grass and then attach another Dark from hand. We attach it to the Giratina, we go Grass Psychic, and then attach any energy from hand. And a lot of this is made possible thanks to something like Jet Energy. So we can go ahead and play Mirage Gate, get like say like on this Giratina, the Grass Psychic, and it's on the bench. We play the Jet Energy, move it into the active. We're golden. We can use Jet Energy to, if we have a Comfy in the active and 2 more on the bench, Comfy A's in the active, we Flower Selecting, we attach Jet Energy to Comfy B, move it to the active, Flower Selecting, then retreat, manual retreat by discarding the Jet Energy to go into Comfy C. I'm pretty sure I've been saying number C or number A, B, C, but whatever, you get the idea, right? A lot of the cards are very similar. Nest Ball defined our basic Pokemon. We have Battle VIP Pass again. We have Iono and Boss's Orders. Switch Card lets us move our basic Pokemon. Roaring Moon is a basic. The only Pokemon we can't move out of the active with Switch Card is Giratina VSTAR. So if Giratina VSTAR is in the active, we have to use like Escape Rope or manually retreat. Otherwise, if anything else is in the active, Switch Card is usable. And we get to heal 20 damage, which is kind of cool. Just noting that. Lost Vacuum to get rid of anything, tools. You can get rid of your opponent's future booster energy so that they're not doing 20 extra damage. They don't have free retreat. You can get rid of a stadium that might be kind of annoying. Let's say there's Temple of Sinnoh in play, and that turns off the effects of special energies. We need to get our Jet Energy because we don't have a switch card. We can't afford to use it. We have to cycle through, whatever. We can go ahead and get rid of the Stadium and then Jet Energy. We can also get rid of our own, we don't have any tool cards, but we have our own Stadium's Path to the Peak. If we have a Stadium in play, we can use Lost Vacuum by Lost Zoning a card from our hand to then Lost Zone a Stadium or tool card in play. Well, if it's our own Stadium in play, now we just put 2 cards in the Lost Zone by playing Lost Vacuum. One for the cost of playing Lost Vacuum, and then the Stadium. So we can build our Lost Zone faster with things like Lost Vacuum, all of these switch cards, the Jet Energies, the Comfies. It's really cool. And then of course we have Corvus's Experiment. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. 2 go into the Lost Zone, 3 go into your hand. Roxanne, you can only play this if your opponent's taking 3 or more prizes. Both you and your opponent shuffle your hand into your deck. You draw 6, your opponent draws 2. Super Rod to recover some Pokemon and some energies. If we are Lost Zoning them with something like Lost Impact or Comfy or Corvus, obviously we can't get them back with the Super Rod, but we can get them back if for things like we discard with Radiant Greninja to draw cards, we discard them to retreat, we discard them. However, we can go ahead and recover them because then it allows us to Super Rod some energies that we've discarded to then put them back into play with Mirage Gate, something we talked about a little bit before. But that's kind of this deck, right? Utilize the Lost Zone engine to the best you can so you can build to a Star Requiem, take a KO depending on what you're KOing. Maybe you go straight into Frenzied Gouging, or you Star Requiem, Lost Impact, and then Frenzied Gouging for the final KO, and you get your 6 prizes. It's really, really cool. I actually really like this. I think I like it a little bit more than the Darkrai version, because the Darkrai version, I say I like it more than a Darkrai version, but I haven't really played either. It just seems like this will work better because Lost Zone Giratina is a very good deck, and it's a very established, popular deck for the meta right now. Of course, this might change when Iron Hands comes around, and giving up these Comfies means you're giving up 2 prizes. Giving up these Cramorants means 2 prizes. Right now, in a mostly 2 prize meta, having these single prizes is really, really good. But if Iron Hands becomes a huge problem, and you can't play these Lost Zone decks anymore because you can't, the idea is you're giving up 1 prizes frequently, but you're taking 2 prizes, 3 prize KOs in return, and kind of doing that up trade to keep the game balanced. If Iron Hands comes in and just says, you no longer are a single prize deck, you give up 2 prizes for everything, some things even 3, that could be really, really problematic. So this could work unless Iron Hands is all over the place. I'm kind of hoping something keeps it in check, but if that's the case, then we might have to go into something like this Darkrai deck. So they have 2 different Roaring Moon decks. They are quite different, and I have no idea how viable they're going to be. Only time will tell, but I want to know what you think about these in the comments below. So if you like one of these decks or you have a different idea for them, please, by all means, tell me. And I want to know what you want to see coming up next. I have Iron Hands that I'm going to do, some tabletop videos that we're going to do. I might build like a full Ancient deck. We're going to talk about Iron Valiant EX. We have a lot of deck lists to cover. Paradox Rift seems like it's going to be a pretty significant set for the competitive scene. So we got a lot to talk about, and I'm very excited for it. But for now, that's going to do it for us today. I hope you enjoyed, found this informative. If you did, like I said, like, subscribe, comment, and yeah, let me know what you want to see next. But that's going to do it for us today. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. I want to give a special shout out to the YouTube members Black Wins, Mike the Highest, Fernando Ortiz, Chin Pokemon, and Eric N. Thank you all so much for your support. It really means a lot to me. And if you want to become a channel member, you can go ahead and click the channel member button somewhere at the bottom of the page. I'm not really sure. I haven't done it myself.